Everyone wants to know, how did you build a relationship with Russell and how are you one of his into his friend circle? Your network is your net worth. Over and over again, everyone says it and it's become so cliche that people have stopped actually thinking about it. They just like it's just another quote on the internet that your network is your net worth. Up until me a year ago, I was not really focusing. I was just like, yeah, this is just another quote on the internet. So I want you to shed some light on why is this one of the most important statements of building a business, and why do people still not take it seriously? Why do people focus on cold DMs? And there are hundreds of stuff out there to be able to get high ticket clients. And why is this the number one way to do that? What's up, everyone? Welcome to Breaking Boundaries with Aditi, where we dive deep into the minds of extraordinary individuals who are doing excellent in their fields. And I'm your host, Aditi Jain. And today we have the privilege of sitting down with Christopher Voss, who's the founder of ROR, Return on Relationships, and is a coach who helps people connect with their dream clients and get noticed by their influences in their fields. I mean, if you want to get noticed by Russell or Jim Edwards or any other people out there in the market, he's the go to guy for you. He's able to cultivate authentic relationships with people, with some of the biggest names in industry like Russell Brunson, Steve Larsen, Jim Edwards, and so many more people who've made huge impact in their lives. And now he's being able to connect with them, and he's also impacting their lives too. And he's had many entrepreneurs connect and build relationships with their dream clients. Like he's doing one-on-one coaching. He's also doing that for you and group coaching. If you guys need any help to understand how can you build relationships with these awesome people, then he's the go-to guy for you. And he believes one of the biggest thing that we are going to be talking about in today's podcast, that he believes your, like everyone says that your network is your net worth. But today he's going to show us exactly how that is possible in reality and how can you make that possible for yourself as well. And moreover, he's an FHL speaker. I aspire to become an FHL speaker, so it's a privilege for me to be able to have Christopher Voss on this podcast show. Hey Christopher, welcome.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here, and I can't wait to talk about relationships. And thank you so much for that introduction. Yes, I had the honor of being able to speak at Funnel Hacking Live. That was, a bucket list item for a lot of reasons. The biggest reason is it gave me an opportunity to talk to so many people about how important it is, how it's a game changer for your business, your entrepreneurial journey, wherever you're at. If you're listening to this, if you're watching this, I want you to understand something really, really important. Wherever you are at on your journey, whether you're just starting out or whether you're seasoned and you've been doing this for years, every single thing in life and business swings on hinges. Hinges open up doors. I call those hinges relationships. Relationships open up doors of opportunity. So whether you're just starting out, where you're in the middle of your game, you're cruising along in your journey, relationships will change the game for you. And that's what we're going to talk about here today. There's so many shiny objects that you can focus on. It's like, oh, I need to do this. And nowadays there's like every single day there's something new. I got to do this. I got to do all these things. But the thing that you should be doing every single day is building relationships and do all those other things that you need to do to grow your business. But something you should be doing every single day that should be alongside of everything you're working on is building that network. Like you said, your network does equal your net worth. It's true. You talk to any successful billionaire, millionaire, thousandaire, they said they did not get there alone. They got there with other people. And that's what's key to remember. You can get places and you can get there fast if you do it with the help of other people.
That's really powerful. And I've heard this probably since I've been into entrepreneurship or something like that, that your network is your net worth. Like over and over again, everyone says it, and it's become so cliche that people have stopped actually, thinking about it. They just like it's just another quote on the internet that your network is your net worth, right? And it's very common. Even up until me, I think a year ago, I was not really focusing. I was just like, yeah, this is just another quote on the internet, correct? So I want you to shed some light on why is this one of the most important statements of building a business, and why do people still not take it seriously? Why do people focus on cold DMs, and there are hundreds of stuff out there to be able to get high ticket clients? And why is this the number one way to do that?
So if you have a pen and paper, just kind of write this down. I'm going to say, I want to address the fact of, I want to address that. So, but I want to say this really quick. I like to talk about examples, because examples are something that we can see and we can believe in because they're true, because we look at the individual and go, okay, look at where they're at. Okay. Look where they're at. Look at who they have relationships with. How are they doing in their business? How successful are they? How much money do they make? How big is their business? How much revenue does their company generate? So you can look at examples and go, okay, this is true because I'm staring at somebody that can do this. So let's have a little fun here. Let's take one of the most amazing individuals that I highly look up to, that I'm going to try, and when I talk about this person, I get emotional because I'm alive because of this person. I would be most likely dead. I have 9 children. There's a picture of my kids. I have 9 children. I'm married and have 9 kids, and they would be fatherless. And my wife would be a widow if it wasn't for this one person. And I'll explain why this one person is so important. Let's talk about Russell Brunson to answer your question. Look at him and look at where he's at in his journey. Look at his businesses. Look at how much money his businesses generate. Just look at his life in general, and you can see someone that's very successful, very centered, has his priorities in line, has his values in line, runs more businesses than I can count on my fingers and my toes, my feet right now, has so many different things going on, generating massive amounts of wealth and income for his businesses, for his employees, for his family. And also think about the funnel hacker community. Think of the millions and millions of dollars and the lives that have been changed because of that one person. So that cliche statement is your network equals your net worth. Look at the people that Russell Brunson associates with, the high level people, Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone. I mean, you just go down this list of individuals that he is friends with. Well, if you add up the net worth of the people that he spends the most time with in the digital marketing world, that's a really big number. And so it literally means that, Jim Rohn says, and this is another one of those cliche statements, and people use it all the time, you're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yeah.
Well, right now, everyone pick 5 people, pick the 5 top people that you spend the most time with. You're the sum of those 5 people. If they're high achievers, you're most likely a high achiever. So I like to say the success of your business, the size of your business, the success of your profits is a sum of the 5 relationships that you have. Because in life and business, there's a little company, a little company called Google, just a little company.
Little.
And Google started with 2 friends.
Yeah.
And they started in the state that I live in Michigan, in a garage. And these are 2 friends that started a little company called Google. And here's the thing I want to stress. These are 2 friends. So a lot of people say, don't go into business with your friends. That's a bad idea. Well, the reason they're sharing with you that advice is because they didn't do it right and it didn't turn out well for them. So they're going to say, oh, you can't go into business with friends. And so I'm saying all that to say this. Some of the best business opportunities start with a friendship and a relationship. And so that's why you lead with the friendship. You lead with the relationship. You lead there first. And the great thing is, all of these other wonderful organic things come about of that relationship. And so what people do first, though, is they focus on the business opportunity. What can I get out of this? I'm going to reach out to this person. What can I get out of this? No, you want to give first. You want to build a friendship. You want to build a relationship. And then all these other wonderful things happen on top of it. So look at Russell Brunson, look at Grant Cardone, look at some of these really massive high achievers, and then look at who they have relationships with. And time after time after time, they didn't get there alone. And when you sit at Funnel Hacking Live and you watch all these people walk across the stage and you look at all these people speak on stage, they'll tell you, if you asked these people, how'd you get where you got? Or how did you get where you are at? They would say, it's through the relationships that I cultivated and nurtured got me to where I'm at. I would put money on that would be in the top 2 reasons why they're successful. I would say top 2, and I would fight anybody on that. Tell me another reason. So yeah, top 2 reasons why they got where they're at is because of those relationships. So that was kind of a long answer. I tend to do that, but hopefully you could kind of feel
It's 100%, and I agree with you, because if I share my business story, like my business partner and I, we've been friends for a really long time. And as you said that, like cultivate friendship, obviously it was natural because we had very similar interests. The business that we are running right now, we both best friends for a really long time. And then we started this business and it's bloomed in such an organic, good way that good things are coming out of it. So now I understand that when you do not see, now when you put this into perspective, it's actually making sense to me that when you do not see only a monetary value out of a relationship, like my business partner, we never saw that monetary value that, okay, I got to make money with this guy. No, I was a natural friend to him and he was a natural friend to me. And then we became business partners. And that's why there was so much success that we saw at a very young age. So I think that when you remove the monetary part, you actually build something much bigger that is very much bigger than money.
That's the foundation that everything is built upon. And, I love this quote by Dale Carnegie. This is the quote by Dale Carnegie. You can gain more friends by showing interest in them for 2 months than spending 2 years trying to get them interested in you. And so when you think about that, take out the word friends, plug in whatever applies to you. I can get more podcast interviews. I can get more joint ventures. I can get more affiliate deals. I can get more interviews. I can get more blank by showing interest in others for 2 months than spending 2 years trying to get them interested in you. So if you move your focus on other people and you move the desire to connect and build relationships with others, all of these other wonderful things happen down the road. And so I want to go back to what I was telling you before. I remembered a mental note. The reason I'm alive today because of this relationship. So on my entrepreneurial journey, I became very, very unhealthy. I was 400 pounds, I was a couple pounds shy of 400 pounds. So that's a really, really, really big person, very unhealthy, very overweight. And I met someone and built a relationship with this individual. Because of the relationship and the friendship, he was like, I care about you, Christopher, and I want to help you. He charges very, very high dollars to coach people on health. He said, I want to coach you and I'm not going to charge you. And I'm going to give you the ability to reach out to me. Text me every single day. When you're struggling, when you're having difficulty, reach out to me. I'll help coach you to better health. And he did that. Now, I met this person. His name is Wallace Nelson. He runs multiple companies, one of them which is called Vitavore, which is a health and wellness company. He coached me. Now, how did I meet Wallace? I met Wallace through a mutual friend. And that mutual friend is a dear man by the name of Russell Brunson. If I didn't have a relationship or a friendship with Russell, I wouldn't have met all of the next people. Like there's Russell and then all these other people I met. Then I met this guy named Wallace. I never would have met Wallace if I wouldn't have started that friendship back when with Russell. So Russell is connected with Wallace, with all these people in between. Now, how important that is to my life. If The reason is I had a stroke. Those of you that know anyone that's had a stroke, it's pretty scary. You can die from it.
Yeah.
And I survived the stroke because I was healthier. 400-pound Chris didn't have the stroke. Lighter Chris had the stroke. And that lighter Chris is because of Wallace coaching me to better health. And I never would have met Wallace if I would have met Russell. So if those of you that are listening and if you're watching and you want to understand how important one relationship is, we hear all the time, you're one funnel away. You're one relationship away. There is literally one relationship that's going to alter the direction of your business. For you, this friendship that you have, that you'd create this incredible business, and it started with that relationship and that friendship. And so people cannot underestimate how important it is. This is why I say do it every single day. This is why I say work on relationships every single day, because you don't know which person it is that you're building that relationship with that you're going to need to help take your business to the next level, to affect your personal life. And so I am so grateful for that relationship with Wallace. And I'm so grateful for Russell because I never would have met him if I wouldn't have met him. And so this is why it's so important to work on it every single day, constantly. Dig your well before you're thirsty. People have heard that phrase. It's Harvey McKay, but someday you're going to be thirsty. Someday you're going to be, your business is going to need help. You got a problem you need to fix. Someday you're going to be thirsty. Dig your well before you're thirsty. Build your relationships before you need them. Because if you do that, then they're there and then you're ready to go. You have people that you can reach out to and say, hey, I need help.
That's true. And you won't feel guilty about it, honestly. Like, you cannot just reach out to a random person and say, I need help, right?
It's amazing how much what you're saying is true. There are people that I know that if you want their help, they'll send you a wire instruction document. You wire them a large chunk of cash, and they will get on a Zoom call with you and coach you one-on-one and help you because they're in the business of coaching and they charge for their coaching, and they should. Wire us the money. We'll send you a calendar link and you can get on my schedule and I'll coach you with whatever issues you have with your business, whatever that is. Wouldn't it be amazing to be able to reach out to those people and say, hey, I'm at a sticking point. I need help with something. I'm kind of stopped here. Could you help me get past this point? Oh, absolutely. Let's hop on a call tomorrow. Be glad to help you. You don't need to wire them a whole bunch of money. You don't need to wire transfer them money because friends like to help friends. People love helping. So reciprocity is beautiful. You know, if you don't do something because you're looking for something back, reciprocity will happen organically and naturally. People want to return favors. It's like, hey, thank you so much for helping me. You want to hear these two phrases. It's so amazing when an influencer or somebody really big that have been to where you want to go say to you, tell me more about what you do, or tell me how I can help you. And I love these stories. I'm very fascinated with mountain climbing. I don't climb mountains. I don't think my family would let me because I probably wouldn't make it back because it's very dangerous. But I'm always fascinated with Mount Everest.
Yeah.
Tallest peak in the world that you can climb to the top of. Well, the Nepali government banned solo summiting. You're not allowed to try and go to the top of Mount Everest by yourself anymore because too many people. It's deadly. Why did they outlaw that? Because of the consequences. And so when you try and get up to Mount Everest, you can't get up there by yourself. You need helpers. You need guides. You need people that have been there before. And so as you're listening to this and you're watching this, look in what you're doing and see who you can go build a relationship that can help guide you to where you want to go because they've already been there. Find people that have already been to where you want to go, develop a relationship with them, and they'll help show you how to get up there. And they'll be more than willing to do it.
100%. Now comes the biggest question, that everyone wants to know. How did you build a relationship with Russell? Like, this is when I was, coming on this podcast, and I usually have a habit of asking my clients and my network, like, what kind of questions do you want to ask people? What kind of questions do you want to ask this person? And the most anticipated question, I posted a poll on my story, and people were like, how did you build a relationship with Russell, and how are you one of his, like, into his friend circle?
Super good question. So, and Russell's a great example. He's a great example. But what I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you, what I'm going to share with everybody is something that can apply to anybody. Anybody that you're trying to get close to or you want to build a relationship with. This could be a family member. This could be a coworker. This could be a business partner. This could be someone that you want to do business with. And so the biggest issue is there's something called the human factor.
Hmm.
And what the human factor is basically this. Everybody in life, we're all humans. And the human factor means that somebody, if you show gratitude to them, if you serve them and you do something for them out of the pure love of your heart, out of gratitude, they will receive it. And when they receive it and it's authentic and it's genuine, they will want to learn about you. They will be interested in you. And so authenticity is important.
Yeah.
And that's a word that's used, be authentic. How many times have we heard this? How do I be authentic? Be authentic, be authentic, be authentic. Well, how do you be authentic? The way that you be authentic is to be different than everybody else. Because if you think about it, big influencers that people know that if they get close to can open up a door. Remember I said everything in life and business swings on hinges. Those hinges I call relationships. Relationships open up doors of opportunity. Influencers all the time are being approached by people. And the reason that people are approaching is because they want something.
Yeah.
So let me say this. It is completely okay. Stephen Covey says, begin with the end in mind. Begin with the end in mind. Know where you're going. Know what you need to accomplish. Begin with the end in mind. So if someone thinks of an opportunity of something they can do with someone, like you asked a question about Russell, begin with the end in mind. That's completely fine. But don't lead with that. And so I'm going to give something to you and your listeners and your watchers. I'm going to share something with you that you can do today. And if you do this, this will be a game changer for your business. And notice what I said, if you do this, you have to do this. If you don't do this, you're not going to get the result. Building a relationship with Russell, how did I do that? Because I led with one thing, gratitude. I genuinely appreciated and was grateful and thankful for this person. And I wanted them to know that. And I didn't want anything back. I didn't want anything in return. I just wanted to say thank you. And I wanted to show gratitude. And I wanted to be genuine. I wanted to be authentic. And I wanted to be myself. And so lead with gratitude. At Funnel Hacking Live, I gave 5,000 funnel hackers a rock. When they walked in for the speaking sessions that evening, there was a rock sitting on their seat. And that rock said the word gratitude. It was engraved on the rock. And the reason that gratitude rock is so important is you lead with gratitude. If you lead with gratitude, the doors of opportunity will come to you. And so be authentic, lead with gratitude, serve and give without expecting anything in return. Now, there's wonderful opportunities that are organically going to happen through that relationship, but don't lead with something that you want or something that you need. And here's the game changer idea. Go to your local store, buy a package of cards. They're called thank you cards. They're small little cards. They're not the big cards. They're the small cards. And this is one of the bonuses that I gave as my speaker bonus to people that signed up to go to Funnel Hacking Live and purchase a ticket. And so those of you that didn't get an opportunity to go or get that, I'm giving this gift to you, to your watchers, your listeners. Go buy a package of thank you cards. They come in like a package of 20. Buy some stamps, buy some postage, and get a really good pen and commit to writing 2 cards a day. Do this. I do this every single day. It's part of my morning routine. You write a little thank you note and you send it to somebody. And the whole purpose of that is to say, hey, I appreciate you. I am thankful for what I've learned from you. Tell them something about them really simple that you appreciate or you're grateful for or you're thankful for. Keep it very simple. Don't write this huge note. Simple little letter of gratitude. Sign it, put it in the envelope, lick a stamp, stick it on the corner, and mail it to that person. That is one of the biggest relationship seeds that you can plant. And people are like, oh, I kind of know. Yeah, I could send thank you notes. Or, oh, yeah, I thought of that. Or, yeah, that's not a new one. That's not a new idea. Yes, it is, because people don't do it. And I want to tell you how many messages I get from people saying, oh, my word, I sent this person a note in the mail, this little thank you card, and they reached out to me and thanked me for it and said, how can I help you? I'm like, yeah, this is great. And 98% of every relationship that I have, Russell Brunson, Mark Victor Hansen, you name it, started with what I just told all of you. 98% of all the relationships that I have, my big list of people that I know and have relationships with, and this network that I have worked so hard on, started 98% of the time with what I just told all of you. And that is, send them a note. Let them know you appreciate them. Let them know you're grateful for them. 98%. That's pretty high.
How consistent were you in sending those, and how soon did they reply? Like, I'm just curious.
So a lot of times it depends on the receiving end. If they're a big influencer, maybe they're on the road, they're busy. But the thing is, you can't control what happens on the other end. But to answer your question, it's pretty quick. Here's why. People don't do this. This is one of those things where, everybody does this. Everyone reaches out and does that. Well, here's the thing. You went in the very beginning, you mentioned something like a lot of people send DMs and messages and digital messages and stuff. There is no authenticity to that at all. You're just like everybody else. I don't know how many times my phone, when and it's completely fine. And I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, when you have an opportunity to speak on a stage in front of 5,000 people, a lot of people are going to reach out to you. And so I got a lot of messages from people that were really leading with, I could tell that they want something. And they weren't really interested in, hey, I just, so I'm jumping around here, but electronic messages are fine, but try something. Lead with something that's written in your own hand, that you took the time to go buy a card, and you took the time to go get postage, and you took time to fill this out. You took time to put it in an envelope, put a stamp on it, and you took the time to take it to the post office and mail it. People see all of this effort and like, wow, this person's really interested in me. They went the extra distance to try and do something special for me. And so it will surprise you how fast you can cultivate relationships sending little things like notes. It's a game changer. But here's the thing. And I'm not trying to be negative, but people just don't do it. And even students that I've had that give them all the reasons why you need to do this, sometimes they still don't do it. But here's the false belief. I know one of the reasons why they don't do it. That person's not going to respond to me. They're not going to have time for me. They're too big. They're not going to want to take an interest in me. But the thing is, yes, they will. Because if you lean into somebody else, they're eventually going to lean into you, and you're going to hit heads, and you're going to tap heads. And so, this is a game changer. So it happens quicker than you think. And going back to your question about Russell Brunson, look at the relationships. You ever hear Russell tell his story about building a relationship with Tony Robbins and what it took and what he did?
continuously was sending him different things, sometimes a book, sometimes a bouquet. He was remembering. I really clearly remember that story, and that's how he eventually got him to speak at his event.
And it started with the little things, and it started
Yeah.
with being consistent. And so I want to say this, and you said people need to understand relationship building is a long game strategy. Here's the but. Here's the beautiful thing. It can be short too. So play the long game, but it can be short because you're going to hit someone the right way and they're going to respond to you quicker. And you're like, wow, this is really amazing. So relationship building is a long game strategy, but it can be short. And when it is short, that's a win. That's a big win. But play
Yeah.
the long game, and it will pay off huge for you. So I kind of have a
That
long way of
is.
answering your questions, but I'm just trying to give really a lot of value to your people that are watching and people that are listening. I want you to walk away going, I can do this. You can
Yeah.
do this.
100%. I mean, that is so true that it is a long-term game, because how many people do you actually know who has access to Russell or Tony? Very few of them, right? Because they're playing the long game. If everyone if it was so easy to be having Russell or all these people on your podcast and building relationships with them, everyone would be doing it. But everyone's not doing it because it is a long-term game.
Yes. And the false belief is they don't have time for me.
Yeah.
People have time for people. If you show that, there's so many cliche quotes in this, but these are really good. And I hate to say them sometimes because people use them all the time, but people don't care how much you know. But when they know that I change it up a little. When they know that you care, now they care. So,
Yeah.
that phrase you've heard that. I'm trying to change a little bit so it's not so cliche, but when
Yeah.
people know that you care, they care about you. That's how I changed that a little bit. I'm not going to say it the way that everyone, the cliche way they say it, but they care about you when they know
Yeah.
that you care about them. And how do you do that? Show them that you do. And can I share with you a story that do we have time?
Yeah, of course.
So when I was a child, people say, where does ROR come from?
Hmm.
Where did return on relationship come from? How did you learn this? Did you go to school for this? Did someone teach you this? Did a mentor teach you this? I learned this as a child, and here's how. When my mom would run errands or she'd do things around town, I would go with her and just hang out with her. She'd
Oh.
go to the local bank and she would drop off gifts to the ladies that were at the teller, the people that you went up to and said, I would like to take a withdrawal of cash. And then the ladies at the counter. The reason I say ladies is because back in the day, if I remember as a child, it was mostly women that were working as the tellers at the bank, and that's changed now. But she would take gifts at Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, other holidays, and she would do it not on holidays. She would just go up and take treats or flowers or nice things to the tellers at the bank. She also would take gifts to the man that sat behind the big desk. So there's usually,
Hmm.
so back in the olden days, I'm getting older, banks were not big global banks, like huge banks like Chase or, they were smaller banks. And sometimes the owners of the banks or the principals sometimes were there. They had an office there because the banks were smaller. So anyway, my mom walks in. She has this really big check that she needs to cash. It was like $10,000, a lot of money.
Yeah.
Well, back in the olden days, they didn't have the computers that they have now where you could scan the check and see if the check is okay, to see,
Hmm.
can I cash this? There's electronic ways to figure that out now. Back then, they had to pick up the phone and they had to call the other bank and ask them if the funds were available. Hey, I have this check for $10,000. Are there funds available in the account so that we can cash this check for this lady? Well, they couldn't get a hold of the other bank.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen? I'm sorry, I can't cash this because we can't get a hold of the other institution to see if the funds are available. Here's what happened. They came out around the counter. And they walked over to the guy at the big desk. And I heard a conversation between the teller, the bank teller, and the person behind the big desk, either the manager or the owner of the bank, or one of the principals. And I heard this phrase: for Mrs. Voss, anything. And then she walked back around the counter and went back up, and the woman said, do you want big bills or do you want small bills? How would you like me to give you this $10,000? So that bank president or owner was willing to extend himself to the tune of $10,000 with the chance that that check is bad. But the reason he did it is because he knew, liked, and trusted my mom. How did he know, like, and trust my mom? Because my mom poured into them. My mom built relationships with them. They knew who I was. They know that my mom cared. They knew the type of person that my mom was. So when the time came, he returned the favor by doing something for my mom. And so remember that story, because people will do anything to help you as long as you're willing to help them and show gratitude to them. And I'll never forget that story ever in my life. And that's where ROR comes from, is I learned it when I was small, learned it when I was a child.
I mean, that's a great story. And this one line that you said, that know, like, and trust, which is used over and over again when we are marketing. Like, as business coaches, we like, a lot of people say this to their clients all the time, that you'll be know, like, and trust. Like, people will buy from you if they know you, if they like you, and if they trust you. And as you guys are listening to this right now, Christopher himself said that by doing the small little things, by building connections with people, by just going that one extra step for people, people will know you, people will like you, and people will trust you. And that's when the sale is gonna happen, that. And if you do not focus on the sale and focus on building relationships, then this is the result that you get.
Absolutely. For sure.
Christopher,
Absolutely.
like, I know we're in a time crunch here, but before, like, I want you to share this story of how did you actually came on FHL, because a lot of people aspire to become FHL speakers. One of me, like me, so I would be like really, excited to listen. What was your journey like? How did you feel like being on the stage in front of 7 to 8,000 people who were eagerly waiting to listen to you? That's one of the biggest marketing stages in this entire world. So how did you feel, and how did you even get up there?
So thank you for asking that question, and I'm more than happy to answer that. And I want to give you a little something first, and if you don't mind if I share, those of you that live in this community called ClickFunnels, if you're a funnel hacker in this ClickFunnels community, I want to share this story. I shared it on stage at Funnel Hacking Live, and I want to share this for you and your listeners and people that are listening, people that are watching, because it really drives home how important relationships are and how big this can be for you. And speaking on stage, that was so standing back behind stage, waiting for the wall to go up, standing there. And the neatest thing is so that evening, Russell Brunson announced that he was going to introduce the speakers that night. So normally Devon Brown, who's the master of ceremonies, the MC for Funnel Hacking Live, he introduces all the speakers. Devon comes out and talks about the person that's coming out and introduces them, and then the people walk out. Well, that evening, Russell said that he wanted to introduce the speakers, all of us that were speaking that night. And so what was really amazing was somebody that I look up to, someone that I care about a lot, someone that saved my life because he was brave in opening his mouth. If Russell would have given up and thrown in the towel and said, I can't do this entrepreneurial thing anymore, this is too hard, I wouldn't be here speaking to you, because Russell wouldn't have been successful and I wouldn't have met. So game changer, but standing back there waiting for the screen to raise and hearing Russell out front introducing me and talking about me was amazing, because
that's the dream.
I look up to this person so much, and he's out there talking about me to thousands of people. And this is amazing. So my heart was like, I could hear, my heart was going really, really fast. And then I had a friend of mine by the name of Tyler Watson, who taught me a breathing exercise that I could do to kind of like bring my heart rate down. And because you're just like, you're just like going crazy. But when I walked out, the first person that I saw was my wife. And then sitting next to my wife was a woman by the name of Carrie Woodward. And Carrie is Dave Woodward's wife. Those of you that are in the funnel hacker community and ClickFunnels, you know who Dave Woodward is. He was Russell Brunson's best friend and mentor, and he was the CEO of ClickFunnels for I don't know how many years. And so here's the last story that I want to tell. And those of you that are watching, I'm glad you're still here, because this is going to give you an aha moment. This is where the light bulb is going to go off in your head and go, oh my word, I need to go all in on relationships. I need to listen to this Mr. ROR guy, and I need to make this a part of my daily routine. I need to learn this. I need to go all in on this. I need to learn how to build these powerful relationships. So here's the story. My wife got diagnosed with a brain tumor. And this brain tumor was during COVID. So everyone knows what was going on with the hospitals during when COVID was at its peak and going crazy. Hospitals were overloaded. And anyway, my wife found out she got off the phone and said, I have a tumor growing in my skull. Now, the last thing in the world anybody wants to hear their wife, spouse, significant other, or partner say is the C word, cancer, or the T word, tumor. You just don't want anyone to say that to you, because that means, so my wife says, I have a tumor growing in my skull. She said, I can't meet with a doctor. We can't Zoom meeting with a doctor to even start talking about it for it was over 3 months. So I find out my wife has a tumor, and we can't even talk to a doctor about what we're going to do or what the strategy is or what the plan is for over 3 months. That tears you up. That is upsetting. Through a relationship, I made a phone call that day. 20 minutes after my wife got off the phone, we had an appointment the next day with the best neurosurgeon in the area where we live. And basically the half of the United States, best surgeon to do that type of surgery on her tumor. We had an appointment the next day. We didn't have to wait 3 months to have that Zoom meeting. We went the next day. We saw the doctor, and 2.5 weeks later, her surgery was scheduled to remove the tumor. So instead of having to wait 3 months to even talk to somebody, we got in the next day and got the tumor removed in 2.5 weeks. So why do I tell you that story? What does that have to do with the point I'm trying to get across about how important relationships are? My wife was bedridden. We served her breakfast, lunch, and dinner in bed. This surgery was very painful. It was very hard. The recovery was very hard. And during that time, I wasn't able to focus on my business. I wasn't able to focus on ROR that much because I was taking care of my wife. I have 9 children, kind of busy, a lot going on. And my wife's in bed and she's recovering from brain surgery. And so Dave, and trust me, I'm telling you this story for a reason. This is going to close the loop on everything. So please stick around. Dave sent me a message and said, I want to provide a meal for your family. So he Venmo'd me $1,000 and said, so back then you could DoorDash, you could get food from any restaurant because that's the only way that all the restaurants were closed. The country was closed down, so you can go eat anywhere. So everyone was delivering. So we delivered this really fancy dinner of steak and lobster for the adults, and the kids got burgers and fries from this restaurant called Red Robin. They got all the appetizers and they got milkshakes. We spent $994 of the $1,000. We spent it all, and we got a really good meal because Dave said, you can't use this money on bills or anything. You need to get a really nice dinner for everybody. That's why I'm sending you this money. So anyway, okay, so we did that. A couple weeks later, I received an envelope in the mail. Now, Dave didn't want me to share this story, but I got permission from his wife that I could begin to share this story because it's really amazing. I got this letter in the mail. Now, if you want, I wasn't really planning this. I wasn't going to share this, but I felt like I need to share this. It's on the wall. I'm going to go get it, and I'm going to bring it over here, and I'm going to read it to you, okay? Give me like 5 seconds. 1 second.
Yeah.
Okay. So I received this letter in the mail, and I'll read you the letter.
Yeah.
Now, remember, all of you are watching, I told you how important it is to send thank you notes. If you want an influencer or someone to know how to get a hold of you, here's the great thing. When you write a letter to someone, on the outside of the envelope, you put something really important. It's in the top left-hand corner of the envelope. You put your name and your address. So you have their address in the envelope, you have the stamp, and then they have your name and address on the outside of the envelope too. Guess what? You just shared with them every way to get a hold of you without giving, a lot of times you're like, hey, I sent you this thank you note. Make sure you thank me back. That makes them feel weird. You don't want to ever make them feel like you're looking for them to thank you back. But guess what? If they want to get a hold of you, they have your name and they have your address. With that information, they can go to Facebook, they can look online, and they can find you because you gave them your address. You gave them your name. So now they know how to get a hold of you. Remember that as I read this letter. Hey, Christopher, please accept my apology. This will probably be an odd letter for you to receive. When I offered to provide a meal for your family, I had the distinct impression to send you the enclosed amount. I didn't have your address, and Venmo would not let me send the amount at one time. So I started to doubt the impressions that I had. Within a few minutes, I brushed it aside and figured I was a little crazy. Here you go. Then I received a thank you note from your wife with your address. So I thought I should just send it. Once again, I brushed it off, figuring you would think I was crazy. Today, I saw your Facebook Live about washing in the River Jordan. So I did a Facebook Live, and Dave enjoyed it, so he's referencing that. I was on the elliptical in the gym, and I stopped to enter a note on my phone to make sure that I sent it no matter what. I hate being the spotlight. I'd appreciate it if you didn't use my name, even with your family, regarding the enclosed. I had planned on sending it anonymously, but needed you to know that your Facebook Live today is what finally got me to stop questioning my impression. Thank you for publishing today. Thank you for all you do. Love, Dave. So this is the letter that he sent me. And inside that letter was a $5,000 check. He knew that I was going through a difficult time. He knew that I couldn't focus on my business because I was caring for my wife and my kids. He knew it was a hard time. He cared about me. He wanted to help me to the tune of writing me a letter and sending me a lot of money. Now, it's not about the money. It's about the fact that he saw a need to serve and help me. But the only reason he knew me, the only reason he was able to serve me is because I served him. And so as you're watching this and as you're listening to this, you need to understand there is going to be a time in your business and in your journey that you're going to need help, because this entrepreneurial thing is hard. This isn't easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it and everyone would be successful, but it's hard, but it's worth it. And there's a payoff. We all know that, but there's going to be a time you're going to need some help. And so who in your life is going to send you a letter to lift you up and help you? Who in your life is going to call you at the time that you need help at a certain point in your business? You're stuck, and that person's going to help you with that part where you're unstuck. And so I'm sorry to get emotional, but that experience right there said to me, there is power in relationships for someone to go to that extent to say, I want to serve and help you. And it's not about the money. It's not about the amount, but it's just about the fact that willingness to serve someone. And so every single thing in life and business swings on hinges. Those hinges are relationships, and they will open up the doors of opportunity. So those of you who are watching and listening, if you're sitting around hoping for a door of opportunity to open for you, they're out there. Go find them, and you're going to find them through the people that you meet and know and you build a relationship with. And I shared that story. I read that letter on stage at Funnel Hacking Live to everybody that was there. And because you're amazing and you're doing amazing things, and I wanted to share it with your audience so they could hear this, so that they could understand how powerful this is. And I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about this, because this is a game changer. Relationships and network, game changer.
100%. And that was super powerful. Like, thanks a lot. And I think it got really heavy and emotional here. Thanks for sharing that story. Really, really understand the importance of having like your network is your net worth. This is what this guy has taught us today. This guy has proven us that how did he became resourceful, found out the help, and it was a very powerful story, and it's going to inspire tons of people. Like even if I feel that this inspires one person to be able to take action, like I think this podcast is worth it, literally. So even if one person, guys, go out there, go build relationships with people, reach out to Christopher if you guys want to learn more about how can you build relationships. He's built awesome relationships with, like, we've been talking about Russell, Steve Larsen, Jim Edwards, and so many more awesome people. So make sure and obviously put out in the comments if you guys have any questions, and we'll be able to help you with that. Thank you so much for joining us today. And it was really powerful and one of the most, impactful podcast that I have done.
Thank you so much. I really thank you for being here. And everybody, you go out and have a wonderful journey. Enjoy it. And don't go alone.
Yeah.
Don't go alone.